This is going to be about a 20-minute guided tour. We ask you please remain seated at all times. Keep your hands and arms inside of the wagon at all times. If anything is dropped outside of the wagon or anybody loses anything outside of the wagon, you're going to have to wait until after the wagon ride to ask one of us, or if you want to, you can go and try and get it yourself. At the end of the wagon ride, if you can, be appreciated. You can give the driver a tip. We have a little tip box back here located for y'all's convenience. That way we don't have to get a real job. The horse would also love it if after the wagon ride you go up front, give him a nice little sloppy kiss and pat. We ask that if you give him a kiss, you please go in front to give him a kiss. Because they do have blinders on, they can't see beside them or behind them. We also ask that you please stay off of their table, the table that they're tied to up there, because if they get spooked or decide that they just want to take a walk, anybody who's sitting on that table is going to go with them, and we don't want anybody going on that kind of a ride. Besides that, have a safe trip.
Thank you.
Those are the toys that you buy the grandchildren to take home to mommy and dad.
Oh, those harmonicas?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I do that to my grandkids all the time.
Right.
That's all the hay bags for my children.
There you go. Let's go to the gift shop. Find the noisiest thing we can. Now you go home with that.
They have drums over there, maybe? Or?
There could be. I have one of those frogs that you like.
Overnight. Over. Yeah, I do that in every
all the way out to the tree. And you want Nick to almost push you back all the way out to the tree. And you want Nick to go over and over and cut. You got the tree right here. And now it's does that make sense? Just gonna go a little bit lighter here. It's okay, it's a boy.
Got free concert over there.
Right?
Probably wrote it himself.
Alright guys, my name is Ida, this is EJ. As you can tell, she's learning to drive.
She's doing a good job.
Yes, yes, figuring it out.
She's a new boot.
Everybody's got to start somewhere.
Yep, that's how we do this. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the walnut tree plantation over here. Started back in the 30s by a gentleman named Amos Gordon. He planted all those trees for food for dives back then. Now we have fat little squirrels that look like sausage rolls. And about $1 million worth of lumber out here. Our first stop right here is the mansion. Mansion is a rebuild. It is not an original. When they rebuilt it, they raised the foundation quite a bit because we are on an island. We do flood. Last major flood made it up to the mansion steps, 2014. Okay. About 4 years ago, we made it up to this fence here. So, when you go in the mansion, if you haven't already, go in there, you walk around. They're going to talk to you about how the Blennerhassett's going to live, take you through their house, and eventually end up in a nice old time period kitchen. That kitchen would be used the very side, back of the houses here for its types of gardens. They even had hot houses back at that time for different things like limes, or lemons, stuff like that. Fig was really big back then. Now, of course, Margaret's garden would have been in the very back here. It would have been with pretty flowers. And those pretty flowers would have served as oils, dyes, things of that nature, right? And this foundation right next to us is the old tenant house foundation, which later on it did get turned into a broom factory. All of the materials for those brooms were grown here on the island and later sold. I take it y'all can hear me. I'm pretty darn loud usually. And of course we'll be up here talking to our teammates up here. We're all friends. You're alright, Nick. Good boy. You're alright. Right over here is a sign of all the famous people on and around the island. George Washington, Daniel Boone. We had Aaron Burr out here, starting all the way back 1749. And that's the old Putman-Hauser house. The Putmans and the Hausers were friends of the Blennerhassetts. But they didn't live out here. They lived in Belfry, Ohio. This house was later brought over here on a barge all in one piece, as you see on the poster there, right? Right? That house is open for free tours. If you guys like, you're more than welcome to venture down here. As you can tell, she's probably bored, right? Standing out front.
It's like,
Yeah. Come give her a job. She's bored. Come see the house. That tree right there, we call it the bear tree. Bear tree. Call it that because not on this island take a baby bear cub on it. Right? It is hollow.
oh wow.
You can stand up in it. I can stand up in it. I'm only 5'5", but like
Fire?
it still has clearance for me.
From fire or is it from
No.
rot?
Sycamores naturally do.
Oh, do they? Okay.
That tree's still fully alive.
Oh, okay.
So, the cabin behind me, log house. Log house. We brought it over in pieces, not one big piece like the Putman Hauser. We have a gentleman named Tom that lives there year round, and he actually takes care of the gift shop as well. He has the pleasure of living next to one or two of our horse fields. We have 14 horses and mules out here right now. All different shapes, sizes, colors. A lot of times we find one that needs a home. We bring it over, we bring it up to par, we train them, see if they want to do this. Some of them do, some of them don't, some of them do, but they're too small. So we find out what they're good at. Go back into the wagon here. There you go. And see what they want to do, because if they don't want to work, they're not going to enjoy the job. We're not going to get good work out of them. We're going to end up fighting them all day. We don't want to do that. So we find a home that is more suitable for them. We had one recently. He was awesome. He was a great little puller. The only problem is he was way too small. So we actually sold him to one of the park managers as a riding horse. And he rides him. He's fine. His name's Shadow. I check up on him. He's a good boy. The horses here, I actually have the smallest team in front of us right now. Believe it or not. Each horse can pull 3 times their weight. These guys in front of me weigh about 2,300 pounds. Okay. Mules, muscle is a little bit leaner. They can pull a little bit more than a horse. These guys max out at about 6,000 pounds. My biggest team maxes out at 10,000. That team weighs about 3,200 pounds collectively. Big girl. Big girl. Hey, look, chicken. Oh, we won. See that? Totally won. Now, along with the horses out here, we have deer, turkey. We have raccoons. All kinds of good stuff. Turkeys we have out here are like the size of velociraptors. They're like 4 foot tall. They look about here on me.
Wow.
Oh, they're big. The tom turkeys, yeah. They're tom, like their ears are almost touching the ground.
Wow.
They're big out here.
Get out here.
Huh?
Get out here.
Turkeys can actually fly that.
Can we play that?
Yeah. It's crazy. Swim. Yep. The coyotes we have out here are about 100-pound dogs, so they're pretty big dogs. The deer are decent size. If they came over, if they run on the island, they run a little bit smaller. So, but we do have a nice big 14-point buck floating around somewhere right now. Yeah, because last year we had a 12, 2 10 points, and an 8 point. So all those guys went up in size this year. Yeah. That was a maintenance building. No historical value. Back there is an old barn. That old barn is where the horses go if they get hurt. They are children. They beat each other up sometimes. So sometimes they need to see a vet. Most of the time we can take care of it. And they also go back there to get their feet done every 6 to 8 weeks. They get their little manis and pedicures, new shoes on. Right over here is the deer exclosure. That's what it looks like if us and the animals are not maintaining it. Next to it is what it looks like if the animals maintain it. That's a study for Hawking College and DuPont. They also have different spots in West Virginia and Ohio like that. Now I got two signs coming up on this sign. They're just two signs. One is stating that there was a gentleman by the name of Captain James. He was here in 1792. He actually housed the Blennerhassett for 2 years while their mansion was being built in 1798. Finished being built 1800. The other sign is stating that there was another sycamore tree out here, and it was 37.5 foot around. Oh wow. It ended up getting struck by lightning in 1953. But it was like 400 years old, so it deserved the plaque. Right? I think it does.
Not that many years?
Right, yeah.
There it is.
We used to have like parties and stuff in it. I mean, it's like a big campground. It's perfect. Back here in the back, we have walking trails. If y'all are still inclined, feel free. It is shady back there. So you don't have to worry about a lot of direct sunlight. Good. We are coming around to the other horse field here. Those guys also had the day off. And that would have been the plantation site for the Blennerhassett. So cash crop and the hemp at the time would have been out there.
Is that original?
Yes, 1833.
I can dig it.
So way after the Blennerhassett. But it's original to the island. 1833, all of the bricks were made by hand, laid by hand. Later on, a gentleman by the name of Walt Whitman was there. He was a famous poet. He was there long enough to write 3 different poems. One was in English, called Queen of the Water. The rest of them were in French. I don't speak French. Sorry. 1934 flood, second story window.
That's
There's
a
a water
Neil
line.
house. And he even spelled the same way.
That house was actually lived in up until the 60s. It was a private.
That's my first name, Neil. Spelled the same way. With the E on the end.
Yeah. Well, I've had people go on this tour and be like, my great grandma owned that.
Oh my.
Oh, cool. You know? So, that's why I always say, like, hey, there was a private residence that owned that house until the 60s, which was when the island was actually sold to DuPont. From the boat captain's uncle, because he used to have cows out here. So he had it as a cattle farm and sold it to DuPont for $500,000. Going back up to the wagon. Good. A little bit more. All right. A little bit more. Okay. The wagon. Walk, Nick. Good boy, Nick. And make him walk into the middle of that turn.
Good job. That's great.
She's getting it. Yeah, she's getting it. She does horses. She's had horses most of her life. Been a real cowgirl. She's from Georgia, right? She came up from Georgia. Went to the Equine College. Unfortunately, they shut down in the middle of her stay. Right? We're going to teach her as much as we can. We are going to pick up into second gear here in just a moment. You guys are more than welcome to ask any questions you may have. Alright? Or sit back and enjoy the ride. But we'll continue the tour in just a few moments. Make sure that when they go, it's on your screen.
Alright, boys. Nice and easy. Oh, stop it. Your older grand's really about yeah.
There was a Joe up here and had a baby on the wood line for a little while. She might have ran away, might have got too hot. You guys enjoying the ride so far?
Yeah.
Got any questions?
How old are your horses? Your mule and your horse?
Nick is 12 and Buck is 15. As far as I know. Horses don't really come with a birth certificate all the time. You gotta look at their teeth. And you tell by looking at their teeth by what lines are there, how long the teeth are, what teeth are growing in, what teeth aren't there, what teeth are smooth, what teeth are sharp. Oh yeah, it gets pretty complicated. Counting rings on a tree are easier.
Yeah.
The ring to horse teeth. Oh, good boy, Bud. Good boy. Yep, there's a boy. We got some pretty darn big trees. We got just behind the gift shop there. We got an old sycamore tree that's about 28 foot around the base. At least that's what our arborist said. We have the largest pawpaw tree in West Virginia. Apparently.
Where's that at? Do you know?
Right out in front of the gift shop. Ask Tom. He'll show you. Tom should be inside the gift shop. Short guy, got glasses. He'll bring you out. At one point in time, the Ohio River only used to be 5 to 10 foot deep. Now it's around 35 foot deep. The Ohio River became so deep because back in the 60s the locks and dams were put in. When the Delaware tribe was out here around 1700s. There was a land bridge that went across the front of the island. And that land bridge was traveled by animals, people, so on and so forth, to come out here.
Wandering coming out, like the livestock and all this stuff.
Yep.
Good boys.
Get him, Buck. Look out. So now, we don't have any more bridges out here. The land bridge is about the last one. So we all gotta take boats. As you can see, there is a large barge right there. So whatever doesn't fit on a pontoon goes on Gigi. The barge. The barge. It's tree.
Who made these wagons?
The gentleman that owns this company. He's about 70 years old. His name's Johnny Smith. He's from Ellenboro, West Virginia.
Very talented fellow.
He made every single wagon by hand. What's going on here?
Wow. How many do you have?
10.
Wow.
Oh, look at that.
But what you did, the first one's always the hardest. After that.
Well, they're all different. They're all different. Because this one's an end load.
Oh, okay.
Then I have a side load up here. Then we have some that are larger, smaller. Right over here is a gift shop. That is a restroom. There's a cute puppy dog. Walk, Nick, Buck. Keep walking. Walk up. Good boys. Good boys. You folks please give us a moment while we hook up these horses. I'll let you know when it's safe to exit the wagon. Y'all are more than welcome. Up, up, up. To go up and love those horses. Please stay off the table now. They are tied to it.